God is omnipresent, meaning He exists everywhere simultaneously. The concept of His ubiquity may pose the question of how do we know that He's truly there? In Rick O'Mara's testimony, it serves as a beautiful reminder that we can communicate with Him, invite Him into our circumstance, and witness His intervention. Watch and listen to how He showed up for Rick. I'm Claudia Parker. 5 Minutes of Faith starts now.
Hi, my name is Rick O'Mara. I'm a husband, father of two, a visual effects worker, an animation director, and I'm here on 5 Minutes of Faith with Claudia Parker. If you find yourself in a situation where God asks you to do something difficult, it means He's already there with you. You know, my wife and I were expecting our first child. We were only just recently married, and there came a day where my wife went for an ultrasound. She was 9 months along. When they tested for a heartbeat, there was none left. It was a faith crash. There was a lot of anger and frustration towards God, but He showed up. They said, you know, we're going to induce labor. You'll deliver her because that's the safest, healthiest way to do it. I just felt the need to sing this one particular song that I had only heard in church twice. I just started singing it. Every time she had a contraction, that's what I sang. And Saoirse was born, and it was extraordinarily difficult. It was the most pain and sorrow I think my wife and I had ever experienced before. But then we were also looking at the beautiful face of our daughter. She was a very pretty little girl, full head of hair, long eyelashes, long fingernails. She had high cheekbones. She had her mom's dimpled chin. You know, we were in this moment of suffering, and this rush of feeling of love, it felt like it just filled the room. You know, like take the most humid day you've ever experienced, but the humidity was love, pure, tangible love. And it wasn't apologetic, it was just this supportive love. And it was the Holy Spirit just saying, I'm here. And it's really powerful. And no matter what I go through now, that moment reminds me that God is with me. I don't know that I'll ever feel like losing our first daughter, who we named Saoirse. I don't know that there's ever going to be a justification that I'll be comfortable with for having lost her. But moving to New Zealand and continuing our family's journey on trying to have a family set us up to where God needed us to have our two daughters. It became too difficult to even be here. It was too hard to go back to the old restaurants. It was too hard to be around family. It was too hard to just be in Chicago, period. And so my good friend who worked for Weta Effects in New Zealand just randomly put up that they were hiring for animators. And I turned to my wife and I said, hey, do you want to move halfway around the world? And she said, yes, get me out of here. And so we sold off everything we own and we moved to New Zealand, where I started working in the visual effects industry. While I worked there, I got to work on films like Avengers Endgame and Avatar and War for the Planet of the Apes. And it was an extraordinary experience, and being in New Zealand was beautiful. And the first obstetrician that we met was a private obstetrician. They have a public and a private system in New Zealand for healthcare. And this is a man who, you know, normally charges a pretty hefty fee to be seen. And when he heard our story and he heard God's involvement in our lives, he being a Christian as well, said, you know, I don't want any money from you. I feel like God has put you in my care, and I'm going to honor that. His name is Dr. Dines McConnell. God set up all the pieces, and He put us where He needed us to be. We went through a lot before Ariel was born. We had several miscarriages, 2 failed IVFs. A lot of doctors will tell you about the oxytocin rush that occurs when your child is born. And I know what that feels like. I felt that when Ariel was born, and I felt that when Aelin was born, but it's not the same as what I felt in the presence of the Holy Spirit. It was just a different level of intensity that I can't communicate other than how I explained it. All things work to the good of those who love God and are called according to his purpose.